Hey guys, how's it going? It's Rosie, and today I have a book video for you. As I've said a million times, I love to read. I really want to make it more of a thing on my channel that I talk about. And I was looking for some kind of mid-year book wrap-up to do. I wasn't sure really if I wanted to do like a what's on my TBR for the rest of the year, or what have I thought about the books I've read so far. And I stumbled across this tag video, and I was like, tag video? I'm sold. I love a classic YouTube tag. Miss them, wish more people would do them, but they seem to be alive and well in the book community. So I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag, which just seemed like a perfect mix of everything I'd wanted to cover. So I'm very excited. I found this actually by Katie is Reading on YouTube. And through finding this, I've been watching a ton of her videos, and I really like her. She has like a very nice, I don't know, just like fun but calming editing style. So there's a question about like people you're interested in the bookish community, like your favorite creators at the end. So I'll talk more about her there. I'm very excited to get into this. My goal for this year right now is 52 books. I am reading number 31. And I just want to try to take it as far as I can, because it's like a game to me. There are so many books I want to read, so I might as well just like make it like a game and try to get through as many as I physically can, especially because my physical TBR is absolutely ridiculous. You will see here I have most of the physical books I am talking about, which like should not be the norm. Quite honestly, it's too expensive for me to keep doing that. But once I get through all of my physical books, I've promised myself I can consider getting a Kindle. So that's what's on the line right now. Also, it's Prime Day like tomorrow, and like fuck Amazon, but also if they have a good Kindle discount, I'll consider it. Until then, let us just jump into this. Question number 1. What's your favorite book that you've read this year? That was a three-way tie between The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, which I don't have my physical copy of because my friend Jenna's borrowing, Emily Henry's Happy Place, and then Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. So The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue just had like literally everything I wanted. It was like historical fiction, but also contemporary New York. And she just goes through all the different like eras of history in Paris, and then she comes over to the US and she sees like the Great Fire of New Orleans and like stuff like that. And I just was really obsessed with all the eras they showed and how she like went through them and her interpersonal relationships and how she dealt with her curse. And it was just such a well-written book. It was huge. It was like probably close to 500 pages, but once I got into it, I just didn't want to put it down. I thought it was beautiful. I'm absolutely obsessed. And that came out in 2020, so people probably are well aware, but I thought it was lovely. Then for Happy Place, if it's an Emily Henry book, I'm gonna love it. That's what I've come to find out. I've read all of her other ones. Book Lovers was fantastic, and so when I saw Happy Place was coming out, I was like, okay, fabulous, great. And I wanted to save it for like reading on a beach, like on a trip, but I absolutely couldn't. As soon as I picked it up, I was like, okay, we gotta jump into this. I just love how she writes her characters and their character dynamics. They're all like different enough that I find them interesting and unique, but she also like has similar themes throughout her books, so I know I'm gonna enjoy what the book is actually about, if that makes sense. But also hot pink cover, hello. But this was just such a cute friend group, and this is the perfect summer read, obviously, if you haven't gotten around to it yet. Cannot recommend enough. And then Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Wow, this one comes up a lot in this tag. Like as I was writing down my answers, she just kept popping up. This book was so stunningly gorgeous, and I should have known because so many people recommended it. So many people said it was like the best book they read last year, and I just kept putting it off because I heard it was about video games, and that was about it. And like based on the title, I was like, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, Shakespeare, wow. And when I found out it was about video games, I was like, oh, I don't know. But there is Shakespeare in there a little bit, obviously, and the characters are so well written. They're so like, you can just feel what they feel so clearly and understand why they feel that way. And it's just a stunning book. I flew through it in like a day. like 24 hours. So if you haven't read this one yet, if you're like me and you were putting it off for whatever reason, I have to say go for it, because the style itself is literary fiction, and I personally am more of a genre type person. So that took me a little bit to like get into, but it was so worth it. So worth it. Question number 2. What is the best sequel you've read this year so far? That would have to be Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. Hellbent is a part of the Alex Stern series, which is her first adult series. Ninth House is the first one, and then this was the second one that came out at the top of the year. I liked Ninth House. It had all of the aspects of something I would really enjoy, but for whatever reason, it didn't click super well for me. Also, there was like a sexual assault scene in it, and a lot of reference to like vague sexual assault that I didn't love, that people didn't really mention before I went into it. But all that to say, I did not have super high hopes for this book, so when I was blown away, I tell you, I was blown away. This was perfect. This was everything I wanted it to be. And now after reading this book, I like Alex, I like all the characters, I enjoyed where they took the story with Yale and the secret societies, and I really like where they left off, because now I'm excited for the next one. And you just get so much more time inside each of the characters' heads, and you really understand what makes them tick. It was just really good. It was just really good. What is a new release that you need to get to? I have 2. So I have both of these. I did purchase them both recently, within the last like month or so. And they've been sitting there and I've been like, oh, I want to read that. But then I've been in the middle of series, so I just keep reading the next book in the series, you know? But I feel like the book I'm reading right now is also in a series. It's, what is it? Vengeful. It's Vengeful by V.E. Schwab in the Villains series. And once I'm done with that, I'm gonna start another series for a little bit. I just need time with my one-off books. But because of that, I have these 2 bad boys. Number 1 is The Guest by Emma Cline. And this is actually a signed copy. Yes, because I got it from the Buller bookstore. I think maybe on publishing day, perhaps, but there's her signature. Hey, Emma. And this takes place in the Hamptons, like over the summer. So I was like, okay, I can put that one off a little bit because I'll read it when it's summertime on the beach. So I'm taking this with me to Mexico next week, because I think I will soar through this and it'll be the perfect vibes. It'll be right. And then the next book I have is, of course, The Only One Left by Riley Sager. As I mentioned in my Austin haul, I got this one on pub day and I was so excited about it. Riley Sager is absolutely my favorite author that I found last year, and everything that he comes out with, I have enjoyed. If not 5 stars, at least 4. So I am very pumped to read this one. This one is also coming with me to Mexico if I don't get to it beforehand. We're gonna see how ambitious I am in reading this week. What are your most anticipated releases for the rest of the year? So I personally, now that I don't work at a bookstore, I don't really know what's coming out until the month it comes out. I am back on Edelweiss through my job regularly, which I don't know how I finessed that, but I did. And I've been reading the arc of The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins, except I keep forgetting to download it, so I only read it on my lunch break. So I'm thinking I might just like stop and hope, I just like wait until the physical book comes out so I can do it that way, because I want to be an e-reader. I just currently am not, because I forget about it. If it's not like physically in front of me, I'm like, oh, that's not real. That's just my object permanence issues acting up. So The Heiress, so far, I've read like 20 pages of it because I keep forgetting, as I said, has been fantastic. And I think I like the way she writes. I think I've decided I like her as an author. So I would say that's my most anticipated release as of right now. I'll let you know if any more come up that I'm aware of that I figure out I want to try. The next question is, what was your biggest surprise of the year? And obviously, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. I just really did not expect to fly through it. I expected to drag my feet the whole time and just like do it to say I did it because so many people enjoyed it. It was so good. It was just so good and just so beautifully written. So I was shocked when it was 24 hours later and I was like, it's done. I want more. I miss them already. Ugh. Okay. New favorite author. I would have to say it's a tie between Leigh Bardugo and V.E. Schwab. Leigh Bardugo, like I said, I had only read Ninth House by her prior to this year. And so I hadn't read The Six of Crows, I hadn't read the Bones, Shadow and Bone series or anything, because she's mainly a YA author as of right now. Same with V.E. Schwab, actually, which I was shocked to find out. I hadn't read much by her prior, and Ninth House wasn't like an absolute banger in my opinion. It had the makings of an absolute banger, and I wanted it to be. So I was just like, yeah, I'll read the sequel, I'll see how it is. And I loved it. Hellbound was so good. And then I read the Six of Crows series because I accidentally started watching the show on Netflix, and then I was like, wait. All of my friends love the Six of Crows books, so I was like, okay, I'll just give it a shot. And I enjoyed them. I really liked how the Six of Crows duology was written. And I think I like duologies a lot. I love a trilogy. I was concerned about a duology because I was like, is that enough? Like, that feels like not enough. If you're gonna give me more than one book, I want it to be a trilogy. But no, they wrapped it up nice in a bow. And I dig it. And then V.E. Schwab, same thing. I had never read anything by her prior to this year. Addie LaRue was the first book I had read by her. And since then, I've been loving her stuff. I picked up Gallant, and I also I'm in the middle of the Villain series, like I said. So I really like her writing style, both YA and adult. And so that's been fun. I'm very much interested in reading more of her books soon. New fictional crush. This one was hard because I don't know. I feel like the romance books I've read, I haven't been super like projecting on them and been like, wow. But the one that stuck out to me was Noah Brewster in romantic comedy. This was another really great book. I think I gave this one 5 stars. This one also surprised me a little bit, but not quite as much as Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Noah Brewster is like the male lead. This book, romantic comedy, if you don't know, it's like an SNL parody. The main girl, Sally, writes a sketch saying like, oh, you know, dorky guys get all the hot girls, and just really believes that and internalizes it, which, like, yeah, in Hollywood it seems to happen quite a lot, and it doesn't happen really the other way around. And in this, it's like she writes that sketch, and then Noah Brewster, who's this like hot like 30s, I don't know, used to be a teen heartthrob country singer, and like very rich, pretty funny, comes in and like flips the story on its head for her. It takes place during COVID, which I didn't expect, but I didn't mind it, and it actually worked really well for the book. So Noah Brewster was just very charming and lovely and funny and kind, and like literally throughout the story I was like, wow, this man is so real. And they gave him like real emotions. It wasn't just like perfect Prince Charming, like, oh, I'll take anything thrown my way and I love you so much, I'll get over it. It was like, no, that hurt my feelings and that was fucked up for you to say, but I'm willing to work on this because I care about you. And I was like, that's great. That's good communication. That's a good man. So that is my current fictional crush. New favorite character. Like I said, I read The Six of Crows, and I have to say, my favorite character was Nej from The Six of Crows. Out of all of the books I read, she is just the one that has stuck in my mind as like, she was a fucking badass the whole time, the entire time. She was a badass, she was a good friend, she was loyal to her friends, but also to herself. And she didn't compromise just for the sake of others. She did it like, I don't know. She was just very true to herself and like girl boss, but in a serious way. So I would say Nej. A book that made me cry, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. That part towards the end where everything gets flipped on its head. I literally was reading it on my work lunch, and I like had to stop. I had to take a breather because I was like, how am I supposed to go back to answering emails? It was emotional. It was, I'll say it again for the millionth time, so fucking good. A book that made you happy. Red, White, and Royal Blue. This is one of my most recent ones that I finished. I actually started this book in 2020, I think. I definitely purchased it then, and then I just forgot to finish it. Don't really know why, but I did. So I got like halfway, 3/4 of the way through, stopped it, and then my book club chose it for this month's book. We just discussed it 2 nights ago, and finishing it made me really happy because it had such a nice ending, and it was just really cute and just very adorable. And the whole time it was just like so like, oh, like made me like feel like squealy, like teenage girl, new romance. It was just adorable. And I loved the characters and the political intrigue of it all. Very fun. Best book to movie adaptation this year. I don't know if I've seen any movies that were adapted from books this year, but the first thing that came to mind was a TV show, Daisy Jones and the Six. I loved this book when I read it. I was pumped when they were coming out with the TV show. I loved it. I just thought it was perfect. They changed the characterization around of a couple of the characters, but in a positive way. Like, I appreciated it. I loved how they did Camilla in the show. I thought they gave her a lot more agency, and she became a lot more than just like a background character who had to take what was going on. And I just really liked how they did that for her. And then the actors and actresses they chose to play the characters were just like iconically perfect, like on the dot exactly. And yeah, I just could not say enough good things about the show. I soared through it super fast. I adored it. And the music that came out was pretty good. I was very nervous about the music. I did not want to listen to it because I was like, what if I hate it? But it was good. It was a little simple, but like, it was good. Most beautiful book you've acquired this year. Now, this one's a little bit of a cheat, but it's the most beautiful book I have in my collection, and I got it like at the very end of November. So I didn't really have it for last year, so I'm counting it for this year, sorry. But it is this copy of Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf and The Hours by Michael Cunningham. And look at it. It's just covered, it has the gold leaf, and then pressed flowers is like the design for it all. And it's just a half and half book, which is so unique and interesting these days. And that's the Mrs. Dalloway side. I'm familiar with the Mrs. Dalloway one, not so much with The Hours, but this is a very short book. And I love that, like, look. You can see these are this side up, and then get a little farther, it's upside down because you flip it when it flips halfway through. I just thought this was a gorgeous book. I'm happy I have it, and I think it's beautiful. I'm a big fan. What are some books you still want to read this year? Obviously, I had to narrow this down quite a bit, so I did my best. Number one, The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I've recently decided, like, I don't know what it was, but so many people hyped up this book when it came out last year that I didn't really like pay attention to it. And I was like, oh, cool. Yeah. No one could really tell me what it was about, except that it was like a really like heavy take on death and like emotional. And I was like, oh, okay. So in my head, I was like, oh, it's literary fiction, it's realistic, I don't want that. But no, it's literally described as a magical island, a dangerous task, a burning secret. It's like magical realism. This is like about magicians. I don't know. It just sounds so interesting. And now I'm like, okay, no, I gotta give this guy a try. So definitely this one. Maybe some of his other books if I like this one. Then, of course, You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. So hyped up from last year. Like I said in my book haul, I've just been looking for the paperback version because I wanted to read this for a while. I'm very excited I found it. It's a love story. I think it takes place in New York a little bit. I'm not sure though. I just read the word apartment and assumed. But we'll see. Very excited. R.F. Kuang's Babel. This one is just so thick. It's intimidating, but I need to get through it this year. Like, it's just, another one. So many great things. Heard so many great things. I just need to stick to my guns and do it. Once I commit to it, I'll be good. But like, I just keep picking up shorter ones because I'm like, oh, I can finish it quicker and I can fit more books in. But I also need to just give the love and time and care this one needs. Oh, okay. And my final one I don't physically have, which is good because I'm not going to buy it for a while. Probably, hopefully I'll be able to get it from the library. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I have seen so many people discussing this book over the past like 3 days. And I don't know, I had read the synopsis online and I wasn't super like into it. And then after hearing people talk about it and like how much more there is to it than just what the synopsis says, I was like, okay, no, that sounds interesting. So it's definitely on the TBR. I think I will try to do it before the hype dies down too much. So hopefully by the end of the summer. And then our final question, favorite bookish content creators. like I mentioned before, Katie is reading here on YouTube. I found her and she really just sent me into like a book content hole, and I loved it. It was great. It really just like ramped up my need to read and like my desire to make a video like this. So been enjoying her content very much. Next is a very nice book, which is I think her name is Talia. Yeah, on Instagram. She just makes these gorgeous graphics about what she's reading, book reviews, releases, stuff like that. I really like her style. And then my last one is my friend Amelia, who's bookmarked and busy on Instagram. She posts book reviews mainly, and then just like cute like bookish areas and pictures. And I love following along with her TBRs because she's trying to read 200 books this year, which is like so impressive, and I'm shooken for her. She's already at like 89. But she has such a wide range of books she reads. I find a lot of new things that I'd be interested in through looking at what she's read recently, which is cool because like I feel like a lot of book accounts cover a lot of the same books because they're popular for a reason. But Amelia does like a really good coverage of both like really popular like trendy books as well as like older or more niche books that are good. And so she also doesn't really post reviews unless they were good, which I appreciate because then I know it was like worth looking at, you know? So yes, I will link all three of those ladies down below. And that is my tag. Thank you so much for watching. I love talking about books. I really want to do like a 24-hour reading challenge soon to see how much I can get done. I just think those are fun. Maybe to do that like once a month or something, just dedicate a day to like reading. And it sounds lovely to me. I'm excited. If you enjoy this, please let me know. Also, tell me, which of the questions do I want you to answer? I want you to tell me what book you are most excited to read going forward in this year, like in what's left of it. So yes, please comment that down below. I cannot wait to read what you say and then hopefully add them to my TBR. And yeah, I leave all of my links in, you know, the description. If you'd like to subscribe, I'd super appreciate it. We're really close to 400 subscribers, which is like really sweet and cool. And yeah, I hope you are having a lovely whatever time of day you're in, and I will talk to you soon. Okay, bye.